One. And we are recording with Mr. George Webb, his new Halo. And as you can tell, he is the this is George Webb, patron saint of bioweapons and bioresearch. Um, but yeah, man, so what exactly are we talking about today?
I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm at Atlanta Airport. So,
Oh, you're in Hartsfield Jackson.
airports are airports. Yep, yep, yep. So, but I thought I would just leave it on the Halo, the bio agents Halo. I think the Crimea Bridge is probably the big story. What do you think?
So I haven't been paying attention at all, and I just had on uh Jeff Nyquist, who said he wrote a story about and I had no idea what it was. I guess I don't know if that happened today or last night or something. And if my head's been in the sand, I've been doing podcasts all day. What happened?
The bridge, I think it's one of the longest bridges in the world, from Russia, Rostov-on-Don area, over to Crimea. And it's sort of like it's Putin's bridge, personal bridge, in the sense that he drove a truck across it when it first, after the annexation of Crimea. It sort of like made Crimea a part of Russia again. So 70th birthday today for Putin, and they blow up the bridge on his birthday. So everyone's celebrating, from the MSNBC, et cetera, all those. But it looked like either a truck bomb and a big one, or a ship beneath. But it was interesting because the bridge broke in two places, so that almost gives you the idea of a shock wave or a sine wave moving through, rather than a truck bomb. But it could be a truck bomb. But it definitely looks like it came from underneath. But it's a massive explosion. So now everybody's wondering, okay, well, what's Putin's response going to be? And Putin's just been dead silent since this has happened. And Putin had said in the past that he would hit municipal buildings in Kiev if anybody touched the bridge. So this could be an escalation. I say this is a Henry Kissinger par for the course modus operandi. You always have an escalation where everybody feels like nuclear war is imminent, and then Kissinger comes in and then de-escalates it and it's the hero.
As
We'll see.
my buddy Stoli, who actually is the one that I think introduced us or told me to find you, as he always says, you got to escalate to de-escalate. And whenever he and I are playing video games, he's always escalate to de-escalate. If other guys start getting out of the truck, he's like, shoot one in the face, and we'll save more lives if we drop somebody right now. And it's
Escalate to de-escalate. There
do
you
you
go.
think do you
I
think
like
that
that.
do you think that's what's happening right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think I hate to say this, but I think Putin is in on it. And the only reason I say that is because his agent, the Rothschild interests, Deripaska, was with a lot of people in Forte de Marmi on the 24th on the weekend in what seemed like a peace negotiation. A lot of the Zelensky people were also in Forte de Marmi, which is this Italian village on the western coast of Italy. They both have mansions there. So it seemed like this whole Ukraine thing maybe has been a long-term strategy to weaken Russia. The RAND came out, a report came out, 2019 report saying that that's exactly the strategy, and we'll have to stop the Nord Stream if they ever do the Nord Stream 2. So this seems like it's all in the same vein of, hey, let's stop the war, get a peace deal, and get a big payout. So we'll see.
Do you think do you think there's any way that this destruction of the bridge will be drawn back to the United States?
Some people are saying as a suicide bomber. I think it would be a Ukrainian ship. This same bridge, that's Kerch Strait Bridge, there'd been two previous incidents with the Ukrainian Navy of advance warning, and then they went under the bridge without advance warning. Um, there is this, I had talked just the day before about the possibility of a small, what's a neutron
Neutron
type,
bomb.
yeah, neutron type device, which doesn't have the explosive power, but it does, have the radiation, but we don't have any reports from the site. But Russia could respond. Russia had about 70 neutron bombs in its inventory. Reagan built about 700 neutron bombs. And I do think, if we had, let's say, I'll just use the rotunda here. If we had a neutron bomb explosion here in this central rotunda, the actual footprint wouldn't be much larger. Wouldn't be much larger than that. You think of like the Nagasaki or Hiroshima, it would be this whole airport. The actual footprint, the hole and crater that would make wouldn't be much larger than that. And I'm not kidding.
No,
It's mainly gamma radiation. That's what you emit. And it's based. The device is made to be leaky to let the neutrons go out rather than containing them and forcing them into a secondary explosive device. So anyway, if you as a guy who used to do seismology or help seismologists, what we love about explosions are their shock waves. And you can find oil and gas. And what I love about gamma radiation, you remember the original Rutherford experiments, is you can find heavy metal. You can find
gold.
Yeah, gold and silver and titanium and cobalt. And then the other piece is even the smaller elements like lithium get, that's how you create these bombs is with lithium. So those also with gamma radiation, you can see where the lithium is. Eastern Ukraine is really one of the most lithium-rich places in the world. So, what I would do if I was Zelensky and Deripaska is I'd set up about 70 of these things in deep mine shafts or deep oil wells or deep abandoned steel mills, and act like there's the war going on. Get everybody excited about it, but then get seismology out the yin yang and then go to town after you get a huge settlement from the United States for a peace deal.
Maybe that's what the war is a reason to detonate these things and then map out. I'm not even kidding, to map out all the resources, the amount of money you'd make. This would absolutely, I mean, not in terms of morality but when has that ever stopped natural resource mining? Like, just do a war for cover for this and then get some like backscattering of $1 trillion of war. Yeah, I'll take a war. I'll take 7 months of war.
It's actually a brilliant Rothschild
plan. Not
plan.
A bad idea at all.
It's because the thing is, you had all these things stockpiled and you couldn't use them.
Yeah,
because they were supposedly, a capitalist weapon where you leave all the infrastructure and kill all the people and everything. It takes 2 to 3 days to die from the radiation poisoning. That also, I hate to say this in a horrific way, benefits you because it does all kinds of DNA changes to everyone. So you get all kinds of radical DNA experiments going on and everybody who's affected. And you can pull blood samples. So if you're
it's a bunch of R&D.
Yeah, if you're a Rockefeller guy, you couldn't imagine a better situation.
It's a real shame you and I have a conscience.
I know. We can make a lot of money.
We'd be so great at this. We'd be so just do some eyed wise shut. You and I could be at the temples meeting with the heads of these families and being like, what are you guys doing with the whole 9/11? It's such small fry. Neutron bombs in Kherson Strait. We're all getting another timeshare or whatever. Like,
well, I know it's horrible to consider, but if they
think.
It is how they think. I mean, if the Ukrainian billionaires have these deep, you saw Azovstal, Renat Akhmetin is the Russian that owns that, and then Kramatorsk Steelworks is owned by Kolomoisky. You drop those in there, you don't kill anybody. You get geologic data like it's going on a style, and you can explode one here, you can explode one there, and act like it's a back and forth, and cover it breathlessly, like it's the first limited nuclear war ever. And CNN, your ratings go through the roof. MSNBC, ABC, CBS, all go. Fox goes crazy too. And then maybe eliminate these independent journalists at the same time because the news cover is so great for the war. So it's really a win-win all the way around.
The reason I was laughing earlier is I was just thinking like, you know, people get arrested for like videotaping like bridges in Manhattan, well, at least right after 9/11, right? And I'm just thinking like you're in the arguably, I don't know if Chicago O'Hare passed it, but if you're in Hartsfield Jackson, for a while that was the busiest airport in the world. And
Yep.
you're just on the podcast going, now if a neutron bomb came right here, and it's just like, dude, we are so lucky that we're white and that we're not wearing like Arab garb.
Hey, I would never do anything violent ever,
That's why I was
especially,
laughing because
especially, especially in an airport where you're being
you're in the
filmed.
middle of Hartsfield Jackson,
Yeah,
and where
yeah,
you're just like, yeah, Tom, if a neutron bomb, that's why I was laughing. I was like,
yeah.
this is good. This
Well,
is
I'm just saying, I'm keeping it as a halo because I don't want to go
you
to
don't
heaven
want the neutron
just yet.
bomb. They're
Yeah,
just
no, I don't.
they're
But I'm
just
just saying, isn't it interesting that the footprint isn't any bigger
sure.
than that above? And you look at Hiroshima type footprint, it's going to be a quarter mile or half mile. I don't know how big it was, but there's weapons now that are 100 to 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. So I don't know if
Mhm.
it's a mile or whatever, but you can see where most of the energy isn't an explosive shock wave to create that small of a footprint. Most of the energy is gamma radiation that's being released,
Yeah.
and that's what kills. And they say less explosion, more bodies.
Yeah.
That's how this thing works. And unfortunately, when gamma radiation goes through your cells, especially in your bones where your blood is, that's where your leukemias come from and other cancers, bone cancers, and so forth.
Now, could there be reasoning? Could there be some like 5D chess? Do you blow up the bridge as an excuse to increase munitions in Ukraine, and then could in those areas, does Ukraine have anything in particular that maybe Russia doesn't have that you would want a reason to go if we're going to walk out this neutron bomb resource mapping idea? Would there be any logic to
Well,
that? Is you need a reason to I theoretically you
yeah,
would need a reason to all of a sudden start using huge explosions.
yeah. Well, I think you got Putin's really mad because they blew up his bridge on his birthday, and um, where you really have a lot of untapped potential is in the Black Sea. If you think of Crimea as so like a baseball diamond off the third base side, where the third base coach would be, it's
Yeah.
huge deposits. And on the first base side, over Mirapol, is huge deposits as well. Anything that goes off out there is a big bonus, and water doesn't compress, so the shock wave would immediately go down and give us a nice seismology there too. So I would like to see this thing stay out to sea. I'd like to see stay out to water. I think that's where they can harvest this stuff most secretly. But I think you're going to end up in the billionaires, especially in Eastern Donbass with Kramatorsk, with Kolomoisky, because there's so much titanium, cobalt, and the heavy metals over there, as well as lithium.
Yeah.
And lithium's hard to find. Lithium's a lot harder to find with the traditional methods where the heavy metals can be easier found. Lithium's harder to find. So the gamma radiation is one of the ways of finding it. So, and please have an expert come on. I'm not an expert in this, but I do know that this is one of the ways that you can find it and interview them. But I worked with a lot of guys who would take a very, very small explosion, like the 7 sticks of dynamite,
Mm-hmm.
and put 1,000 microphones, 1,000 geophones out in a field in China and set the charge off to get just a little bit of wave data, seismic wave data.
Now, if it's not this, on a kind of much simpler hypothesis, do you think this is, let's say this was us, and let's say we also did Nord Stream. Is this us just really not even, I mean, pardon the pun, but really poking the bear? Are we just really trying to get this war going?
Yeah, I definitely think this is a poke the bear strategy. As a matter of fact, poke the Russian bear is what came out of this 2019 RAND study. It's called Extending Russia, but it really means overextending Russia. And the RAND military game planners, which they invented military wargaming, at least the modern method we think about it with supercomputers and so forth. They um, they had the original strategy, which was to overextend Russia with Pakistan and Afghanistan, get them in a land war in Asia. You know the story.
Oh, in the 70s.
Yeah, here come the helicopters,
The
the
big new
armored
Brzezinski,
helicopters.
yeah.
Operation Cyclone. We give them the stingers.
Stingers, yeah.
Osama bin Laden knocks down all the stingers. The Russian people get exhausted from 10 years of war and demoralized, and then they give up all the stands that we know today that split off the Russian satellites that split off from the Soviet Union, and it's a smaller Russia. Now, do you do the same thing with the bottom half of Russia that has the Caspian Sea? This land, around the Caspian Sea there in southern Russia, the lower Volga, was promised by none other than the Tsar's army, the White Russian army, for fighting against the Bolsheviks. And the guy's name was de Mohrenschildt, the oil minister. And
I heard that name.
His son is the one who put Lee Harvey Oswald up in Dallas. And I'm not kidding you.
George de Mohrenschildt.
Yeah, George de Mohrenschildt.
George.
Yeah. So that's how far back this goes.
Small world after.
Well, if you think George de Mohrenschildt, who owned oil companies and did oil and gas drilling in the Pacific Basin and the Caribbean Basin for George Bush, right? As a pot of oil and all that. If you think he wasn't involved in oil in America, that's wrong. He was. And if you think Oswald wasn't sent over to Russia and he stayed with a friend of George de Mohrenschildt's to obsolete the U-2 so that we could move on to the Corona satellite, you're wrong. That's the history of these guys. These are agents to change world events and do false flags so that we change world history. So we make a lot of money.
Didn't George H.W. Bush give away de Mohrenschildt's daughter? Or isn't there something like that?
Yeah,
they didn't just know each other. He gave away his daughter at a wedding or something.
Well, George de Mohrenschildt's famous for being Uncle George, that Jackie Kennedy, none other than Jackie Kennedy, used to bop up and down on George de Mohrenschildt's knee. So that's how well the Kennedys were being groomed. And all the, and Bouvier Kennedy.
It's all so fucked.
I'm just saying, if you're a Rothschild or a Rockefeller, these things are important. You don't want to.
I know, but you don't want to skip. You can't help but laugh at this shit. It's so incestuous. The demon is so dark.
I saw that guy rolling that thing in, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is it. Putin's striking back here at Hartsfield."
Oh, because he's wearing Adidas.
No, I was just thinking it would be like a small Neutron device, and I'm
right there. You doubling back on the Neutron in Hartsfield. You're really trying to get me knocked.
No, we would never want anything like that. As a matter of fact,
for the
record, magnetometers are a really good investment, and I like magnetometers. So let's start checking things coming through the doors here, because we need to know if you're bringing in something heavy metal. So I like that. I'm helping Hartsfield here do the security, and I want a safe Hartsfield. So yeah.
Good Lord. But so then is that what all of this is, the bigger picture of all of this escalation and de-escalation? I know I asked that, but are we goading them into maybe ramping up their own attacks, and then we can kind of do the brinkmanship where we're like, all right, everybody calm down?
I don't think this is all planned out like everybody says. This is choreographed to the hour.
Sure.
I think there's provocation, and you wait for the response. If you're Kissinger, you got to make your chess move. He talks like this, and see what they do when you do the provocation, and then you have to figure out what counter response to make to cycle this thing into the escalation cycle. Putin has to figure out what to do. Now, I say, if he's threatening to use nukes, sort of a halfway point is the Neutron devices. Supposedly, the guy who invented it, Sam Cohen at Rand Corporation, said that you could get to smaller sizes than the typical, Fat Boy or
Little fat man,
little man,
yeah.
fat man, and little boy, where those are big. Those are my size, 6'8", kind of big. But suppose you could get down to even baseball size. Let's say you can't get down to baseball size. Let's say it's beach ball size. Still, that's a whole different ball game than 6 foot of metal going through the door.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But Putin can send a message here. Again, if you're trying to false flag this, ABC, NBC, CBS all say Putin's exploded a device, right? Oh my God, we're going to go into World War III. Everybody starts going to the Kroger, stocking up. A panic sets in, like happened during the Cuban Missile Crisis for 15 days in October. So we've had this live exercise already, and you don't know where it came from. We don't even know enough that happened last night about the Crimea bridge. So everyone says he shot a missile. Some people say it came from a submarine. Some people will say it came from a land base. Some people there'll be all kinds of speculation on what type of device it is. And now, if you set a second one off, and again, it always has to be Ukrainian billionaires, abandoned steelworks that's 50 years decrepit, because that gets me reparations, right? I get the reparations. So you go back and forth between abandoned decrepit steel mills, and we clean up here in the war reconstruction money. That's what I think is going to happen. Really.
Is there, because I didn't know any of this happened until about an hour ago. What's the are the mainstream saying that it was Putin, or is it still kind of like it's fog of war?
Oh, no. Everybody is saying it's Ukraine, and there's a picture in Kiev. Yeah, there's a picture in Kiev that has two explosions on the bridge, and people are doing selfies. There's a stamp that's out now already. How does that happen? There's already a stamp commemorating this.
They're getting sloppy with the psyops.
There's a stamp already. So yeah, I think
that's like taking a picture with Jackie splattered in blood, like before JFK even gets in the limo. Like what?
Yeah, well,
what's all that? What's that, honey? Don't worry about it.
That would be a little obvious.
Don't worry about this, Jack.
Now I feel kind of funny about this Halo here, because I always think something may be coming through if Putin is, going to be responding.
Well, listen, if Putin's sending anything, it doesn't need an opening. It's coming in and killing us all.
Yeah. I would certainly encourage Putin not to do this, but I think these guys are so big believers in seismology that if this, and you have all this stockpile of pretty low impact. I hate to call a nuclear weapon low impact. The neutron is like 1/10 or 1/20th of the kilopascals. So it's like, hey, we can say that we've crossed into a nuclear war. Plus, we have all the radiation for the seismology, and now if I'm Kissinger, I could say I de-escalated a nuclear war. And I have a higher watermark now I have a higher watermark on the doomsday clock now. We got closer to midnight.
I have the higher record.
And now I've brought the world back from the brink. And now I can die. I'm 99. Now I can die.
That's not.
He does have a kind of a messiah complex, and so I wouldn't put it past.
Not at all. I would put nothing past Kissinger. If they detonate a neutron bomb in Hartsfield right now, I'd be like, yeah, it's probably Kissinger. No, but I mean, no, that does make it good. So let's shift from it being, Kissinger being able to say I escalated, and it's there's a president, right? You want to be a wartime president. Well, now, hey, I brought us back from the brink of nuclear war, right?
There you go.
I mean, even Eisenhower, all the generals hated him, but didn't Eisenhower applaud JFK? He was like, that was because Eisenhower didn't approve of JFK at all. And then after the Cuban Missile Crisis, he was like, all right, the kid's got some balls.
Yeah.
You could have that, especially if it was manufactured, because maybe you don't want anybody looking at the domestic shit economy, raping of borders and vaccine mandates and censorship and inflation. So instead you go, I've fucking I brought us right to the edge of nuclear war and back. Well, you got us there in the first place. Don't worry about that. I brought us back.
Exactly. Everybody, all since forgotten about coronavirus, social distancing,
Win,
vaccine
win,
badges.
win, win,
Win,
win.
win, 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 win.
It's a
Everybody
nuclear.
wins here.
It's a nuclear war. There was neutrons. Here's the radiation. We get to backscatter to the ground and get the resources. We also demolish some old steel plants, so we get reparation. It's just
It's,
it's like a quintuple win. Except for you and I, we're screwed. But
yeah, you and I,
whatever.
you and I are slaves for life. Yeah,
But that was a given. I mean,
yeah. That was
that was a yeah. That's nothing new. Spoiler alert. Yeah, they're fucking us. But yeah, I don't.
well,
That's kind of a. I don't think that's that far off from reality of just.
well. And here's the other bit of analysis that I say this is why Kissinger is going to go this route. And again, back and forth between the two countries. Ukraine has old neutron weapons. The A-135 is what it's called, and so does Russia. So they could do this all with old Russian weapons. So you don't have to get the W-65s or the W-70s involved here from the American side. You could just say, hey, this is all Russia's fault. It's all leftover Russia stuff, right? They use these for anti-ballistic missiles, but you can, take the wings off and just, explode them in a truck or whatever. And now Kissinger also worked on the neutron bomb with Rand. He was a Rand consultant from 61 and to 69. And Sam Cohen wanted to use this to stop, originally designed to stop a Russian tank invasion.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem was in Vietnam, jungle everywhere, no roads, no tanks, right? So Kissinger never was able to use this weapon that he worked with Sam Cohen so long on at Rand. What do we have in Ukraine? Oh, wait a minute. We have roads, Russians, and tanks. And so with that metadata, there's no way this won't happen. It has to happen. This has to happen. The Kissinger fait accompli. It's basically the pièce de resistance of his career. We're done. Just on metadata, it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Not only that, it's a sunk cost. You've already built the weapons, and at best, you're gonna sell them. A la like Gods of War or whatever the movie is with Nicolas Cage, where you're selling all the old Soviet weapon, whatever the movie is. But yeah, why not use it for the apps? I mean, game theory, get the most out of it.
And you want to throw in a little bit more fun? How about all the missing uranium that you've stole over the last 40 years? You could say that was in the plant that blew up.
Well, right? Which uranium?
Let's say that there was a whole bunch of Russian weapons that were supposed to be dismantled, 20,000, that were supposed to get to the United States for peaceful use. It was called megatons to megawatts, and all this missing uranium. Well, you can just say it all got blown up. It all got blown up. How about all your biolabs? Your 45 biolabs or 42 or whatever it is, an insane number. I thought it was 15 or 12, 40 some. Hey, take out the biolabs at the same time, right?
This is just win, 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 win. We're up to like a septuple win now.
The more unstable a device, the more unstable the element is, like plutonium, the higher the energy of the gamma waves, the less the half-life. So we're going to be able to move back in pretty quickly. It's not like strontium-90 is going to be all over here, molybdenum-99. Yeah, it's not going to be any of those radioactive isotopes that hang around forever. That gives you those alpha waves that kind of, cause long-term medical effects. This is quick, and especially if you do it underground into abandoned sites. Then we can fill over the thing, with dirt that's not irradiated, and then condos, right? Beach condos on the Black Sea. I would, if it was me, if I was running this deal, I'd start in like Odessa. I would go all the way to the Russian. Well, I mean, just every mile or so, because Condo City, after this is over. So, I mean, if they really want to get ambitious, you could get up to 60 explosions on each side and huge reparations. So I think it'd get a little obvious after a while, after it was in a perfectly straight line.
Yeah.
But anyway, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, so you'd be able to just pump up the porn. You'd be able to be a wartime president. You'd be able to bring us back from technical nuclear war. You'd be able to scan the ground for resources. You'd be able to use these weapons who you've already did on sunk cost on. You get to build some condos. You get to move right back in. You'd get to get reparations. You'd get to, yeah, sort of launder the sins of COVID. It's that this is all over. We're on the next thing now. Defense spending is going to go through the roof. Well, we had a nuclear attack in 2020. It's like calling January 6th like a terrorist attack. It's like that's not the same as 9/11, but they'll call it the same anyway. A nuclear war, the first nuclear attack since August 1945. It's like no, it wasn't, but they'll do it and we'll pump through it and they'll jerk themselves off to being able to avoid They'll call it the new Cuban Missile Crisis, even though nothing will have happened. And
You got it.
It's not even that bad of an idea.
I hate to say this.
I mean, it's evil, but it's brilliant.
There's more.
Okay.
It's like the
Billy Mays.
It's like the Ginsu knives.
It's OxyClean. It's neutron bombs. But wait, there's more. Call now and I'll put in a hafnium bomb.
Well, don't get me started on the rare metals as well that also respond to gamma radiation. I mean, because those are really, and boron, even boring boron slows neutrons. So you could even get out the moderators you don't want. But let's specifically, and remember our iPhones and so forth use very rare earth metals. So it's an earth metal bonanza because those are really hard to find, those trace metals. So this is even better for like platinum and palladium and all those precious metals as well, the really rare ones. And I can't remember what the resistor in the iPhone uses, but it's another rare metal, but selenium and all these things. But the survivors, Mark Burnett has the Survivor, and then the spinoff was the Apprentice with Donald Trump. Well, the survivors actually will raise antibodies, and the best survivor will be able to be cloned, and you'll be able to develop monoclonal antibodies from the survivors. And you'll be able to do vaccines by copying the antibodies of the survivors. So for those who have a weaker immune system, but wait, there's more. You also get animal survivors, so you get their monoclonal antibodies and their vaccines. And if that wasn't enough, you also have plant survivors. So you're going to have a whole new crop of GMO foods that come out of if it was a sustained war, if it's a sustained neutron bomb war, where you get 10 times the radiation, 1/10 the footprint, 1/10 the footprint. All these things come true. So it's really kind of a cornucopia of fun.
I just imagine you with a cheap suit at the Pentagon, and instead of selling like kitchen knives from Sears, you're just like, so I'm putting in, you just see some generals like, I don't see a downside. See Dick Cheney's like, kid's good.
The only thing you got to do is clear the area, turn let people, give them an hour. Really, nobody dies in this scenario.
And that's good for ratings. It's great for ratings. Get those old nuclear air raid sirens. Some retro. Yeah.
Have the guys.
They're gonna do that. They're just gonna start playing like clips from like 1960s training films. They're gonna be like live from Finland. You're gonna be like, that's an old. That's from like Sandia National Labs in this. There's Curtis LeMay. Like that's from the 60s. Like the brave boys are running to the Stratofortress.
Don't get me started on Curtis LeMay.
I love Curtis LeMay. He's the first guy. Psychopath.
Well, you take the first guy, Hap Arnold, and von Karman, the sort of the Nazi scientist that was his kind of handler controller for all these advanced aviation and missile technologies after World War II in Southern California. But LeMay is the one who paid for it, got RAND the funding to get the initial contract with the U.S. Air Force for all the war gaming that we have from RAND. We've got all the game theory that we have from RAND. Nash game theory came from RAND. We have to build ICBMs until we can't see over our fence anymore. That all that came from RAND, Dr. Strangelove, and all this sort of concept. H-bomb, Herman Kahn at RAND. So it really is fun for the whole family. This plan. It's a Dr. Strangelove plan in reverse.
Yeah.
It's not a doomsday machine. It's a it's sort of like a money machine.
Yeah. Man, this really is like the greatest. This podcast is like the greatest argument against like capitalism. This seems to be like the latest stage capitalism. Not even like monopolies and suppressed wages, but like no, neutron bomb, neutron bombs so we can produce GMO. Like this is, and
It
I am a shameless anti-communist. But even this has me thinking like, huh.
Well, when you start thinking about all the Joe Biden signed in this protein, the artificial protein, the legume type stuff that can produce protein and stuff. Is executive order, the recent executive order, um, vegetable based meat, and bug based meat. Uh, this is really kind of a post apocalyptic, kind of ushers in a great reset, if you know what I mean.
Where's Klaus on all of this?
I don't see how Klaus doesn't make a lot of money in this new world order. First of all, he makes probably you go nuclear in terms of power because
Well, he pushes those, right? The like the
turbines. Yeah, you go turbines everywhere after this thing is over with. Sea turbines for oil exploration, gas exploration. I went to Ravensburg. I visited Klaus for 5 days there in Ravensburg. I went to his place in Givenchy and near Geneva there. Um, he's doing all right. He doesn't need a lot of help. He's pretty rich already, but I think there's no way that he doesn't make out on this deal. Kolomoisky's kind of his agent. WEF is sort of like the Rothschild, PR firm, and I think they're going to do okay.
You gotta almost wonder, and I guess this is my own fault for trying to find like some sort of it's like asking a question of like where's all this money, what's all this money based on? Like, well, of course it's based on nothing. It's not based on gold, it's based on nothing, you dipshit. So I guess it's kind of my own flaw to even begin to go down this line of inquiry. Yeah.
Inquiring, yeah, yeah.
That being said, like what in God's I mean, Kissinger, that's absurd enough. He's 99. But like, what's Klaus? Klaus is 83. Like, what are they? I like it's bad, but I could almost get it if like you or I were like behind this. Because it'd be like, we still got our life, we still got a ton of time ahead of us. Like, we still can go play with the billions, but like, what are these guys doing? Like, what is it really just the pursuit? Is it just the power? Is it just the high? Or are they true believers? Like what drives this? Because like
I
I couldn't. Sorry, I grinded this podcast because I'm 32. I have like a lot of time and like I'm not gonna do it forever. I'd like to still do it for probably like 10 years, but like there'll be a day where I don't do this anymore. But I'm also young enough, knock on wood, that like I can sort of what else would I like to do after? But dude, you're at the end of the game. That's like that's like the kid at like 5 a.m. at a sleepover who's like, let's start a new Madden campaign. And it's like, that's 12 games. That takes 8 hours. Like, you can start it at sunset, get some Red Bull. But the friend who it's like 4 a.m., everyone's drunk, falling asleep, like, hey, you want to start a movie? Huh? I'm gonna be out cold before like the DVD player is finished like setting it up. I guess I just aged myself. But like,
yeah.
what is the goal for that? Like, where are they going with this?
Well, I think they really do have this kind of Werner von Braun ethos, which, if you remember von Braun, he thought of not just the world in terms of communism and capitalism and so forth, but he actually thought of the world as a shelf life, has shelf life. And we have to be able to be ready to move to different worlds. So we need a Mars space station, and we need to be able to go above the Kármán line while we release a virus and kill everybody down below and fumigate it and then come back. And this is the von Braun thinking, and we had to have space stations out in space and so forth. I do think there is kind of this von Braun thinking behind all these people. It is kind of Dr. Strangelove thinking, seriously. And all the stuff I'm saying isn't actually out of the Nazi mindset at all, because they did all this stuff. If you think about it, they were working on the nuclear bomb, obviously. They were working on all the aviation stuff. They were working on all the medicines. They were working on all the plants. They were working on all the animals. This all was a part of their kind of zeitgeist, their will and reason for being. And it's their ethos as well. We're going to be the strongest and most superior technological race, and that's kind of the thinking here. And he lived here in Atlanta.
Von Braun?
Von Braun was here in Atlanta. I talked to a guy who was, they had taken a golf course and they had got, they were building it and went over his house that he lived in. And you would think it would have in the basement, when you discover Von Braun's house, it would have a bunch of model rockets that he went on Disney with, mementos and stuff. No, it was all scientific biological stuff, microscopes and crap, which scares the bejesus out of you.
I feel like Von Braun, I feel like he's more of a guy that has like skull measurements.
Yeah. That I can't remember what they called that, but yeah, there was.
I don't remember. Phrenology.
Yeah.
Fucking Nazis.
But he was into radiating human tissue and seeing exosomes coming off of it and how cancer started. Very inquisitive guy. He wasn't just a rocket guy.
Well, they all evil beyond recognition, but I mean, there's a reason we brought them back.
Yeah.
It's a sad truth, but there's a reason we did that.
And I think we sent half in one direction, at least if you're well, I don't want to pick on the Rothschilds. I don't want to pick on the Rockefellers. But if you wanted to control the world energy market, this is what you would do. You'd send half in one direction, half in the other.
We got 2/3. Russia got 1/3. I think they probably would have been happier seeing it half and half. But no, that's how you keep the machine fighting. What do you do at the end of an NFL season when Tom Brady wins his 90th Super Bowl? You don't just go, well, now it's Brady's league. No, you wait 6 months and then you start the whole thing again. That's good for business. You don't want just the U.S. running the world. What are you, stupid? You got to have the Soviets. 4 years later, they get the A-bomb. We're back in business. We got Korea by 1950. We're cranking out. We're printing the money.
There's a school of thought that television becomes old Brady films, old Brady flip, and Brady reality shows, and Giselle reality shows, and Giselle modeling runway films, and that's all you have. That's it.
Just that.
That's the future. I hope not. I hope we still have rap music and all the other great cultural things that we've developed. But this, you start thinking with, hey, let's use the technology we have on the shelf. Henry Kissinger, remember, he spent 8 years working on this in Vietnam. They were going to do this in Vietnam. The only problem is they couldn't find any VC to drop it on. They were thinking about dropping this on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, which was a dirt path.
It's right. I just finished Kill Train by Andrew Cockburn, and I mean, I had known some of it before, but man, the technology McNamara deployed on the Ho Chi Minh Trail, the little ammonia sniffers to find urine. We dropped 300 million firecrackers so that when Viet Cong would step on them, the microphones would detect them, and then B-52, and none of it worked because all the firecrackers got wet. I mean, a little bit of an oversight, but like, then you go, this was so ridiculous. And then it's like, yeah, but the generals at first were like, this is retarded. Like, let us drop bombs. And then they saw the check and they were like, yeah, fuck it. Yeah. How much was it? 10 billion a year? Yeah, sure. Whatever.
Don't get me started on Bob McNamara, because there's
just making it rain in Vietnam. Just making it rain.
Don't get me started on another Rand guy who hired Rand, all the whiz kids, and he brought all these guys over. Remember Blowtorch Bob for this Phoenix program from Rand program. But he's the one who started with these flow charts, which told second lieutenants, you come up to a village, choice A was burn the village, and choice B was kill all the males under 14 or over 14 years old or 13 years old, and burn the village. So that was, the second Callie's reading it going, well, if the trees are taller than this high, I'm supposed to kill everybody in the village. You know what I mean? And that's how systems analysis is born. The science of systems analysis is born mainly through Vietnam and Bob McNamara with Rand Corporation. So it's fun for the whole family. It really is.
It really is fun. And then I mean, Doug Valentine says that the starter of the whoever started it, whoever created the Phoenix program later said after seeing the DHS fusion centers post 9/11, apparently the guy who was an older gentleman at the time broke down in tears and said, "This is Phoenix." And they said that the Phoenix program came back to the United States in the months after 9/11.
Yeah. So Blowtorch Bob is actually the guy who came up with that program. I can't remember what the acronym was, but then Bill Colby inherited it. William Colby inherited it from him and said, my boss was crazy about statistics, kill numbers. They were trying to kill 1,000 people a month and all that, with the torture and everything. But then later during the church committee hearings in 75, there was several special forces guys that came forward and said, what are you doing? And then those same people who testified way back then saw the DHS created in 2001 and said, I've seen this before. Yeah, I've seen
Phoenix.
It. Yeah.
And Phoenix was to quell a nation via state-sponsored terrorism.
Yeah. Speaking of state-sponsored terrorism, I better go.
You're just in the middle of the most crowded airport on the planet.
Yeah, I don't want to be talking about this topic.
You're the one that said it. I didn't say shit.
I just see the gendarmerie, farming around me. Believe me, I love a safe, quiet airport.
There are a bunch of plainclothes agents around you right now, and you have no idea.
They're beyond plainclothes. Yeah. I believe in sniffer dogs. I think we should triple the guard on sniffer dogs.
George has been bought off by Big Kennel.
Yeah. Alpo, great food. We need more sniffer dogs. We need more weapons. We need more surveillance. I think you should have to go through 5 Lados scanners before you get on a plane.
George is being bought off by the machine.
It should just be a gauntlet that you don't ever want to go through, ever.
It just
never. And that way, stay away and stay home. Never go out.
Never go out. I think the planes themselves should just be constant backscatter machines.
You actually shouldn't be able to go anywhere. If you do go on a plane, it should just circle your city for about 10 times. They should spray you with some type of new challenge agent to see what kind of antibodies you raise. That's really what should happen.
I think the TSA should set up at all of our front doors.
Yes.
What are you bringing out of that apartment?
It could be that any garage or any kind of spare bedroom or any kind of basement dwelling and that's fair game for TSA. That's just, if they want that, they get it.
You know what? Just put them all on camps. Everybody, starting with me and George. No one can be trusted. Glass walls, constant surveillance. It's about time we flatten the curve of terrorism. I'm tired of it, and it's time to take a stand.
2 weeks to flatten the curve, and then we'll renew it every 2 weeks as we go forward and see how it goes.
It's like that comedian. It's like that comedian who was doing that Fauci impression. I never said 2 weeks to flatten the curve. I said we are too weak to flatten the curve, and thus we need to be doing this for 6 to 7 to 18 more decades.
Well, that's what we have. Tommy, it's really always wonderful. Yes, I'm sorry about last week with Jeff Prather. Because it was like I had a rental car. I had the rental car from hell experience where they dial in through the satellite, and I just had arrived in South Carolina and everything, and I was trying to, go forward, and I was backing up so I could basically go out on the beach and have a nice picture of the beach. But I thought that they had somehow disabled my car, and
I'll be honest, I just thought you crashed like 10 minutes into the podcast. You just went off, and I was like, well, I just started going with Prather. In my mind, I was like, you're on for like 5 minutes, and I was like, well, he may or may not be coming. George may or may not be dead. And then you pop back in.
Well, anyway, that's what was going on. It turned out that I had accidentally brushed the emergency brake with something, and I wasn't familiar with this Jeep emergency brake. So anyway, that's my excuse for last week. It's really no good excuse at all.
I didn't think twice about it. I honestly.
Yeah. Anyway,
Whatever.
So anyway, I do have to leave.
Oh
this
yeah.
premises now.
Yeah, we'll wrap this one up, and I'm sure you're probably about to get swarmed by a bunch of agents for talking about
Yes,
neutron bombs, state-sponsored terrorism, and a new vaccine. So, good
but
luck
let me
with
do it
that.
once more. Let me do it once more. There is the plume right
Just
there.
signing
Right
his
there.
death warrant.
Yeah, they're coming. All right, I gotta get
FBI,
out of here.
open up. Sorry. All
I
right,
gotta
brother.
get out of here,
George,
Tom.
I love you, brother. Stay safe. I'll text you this when it's up, and we'll schedule the next one. All right, man.
Loving you right now. All
All
right,
right,
bye.
buddy.